as we grow closer to Christ, there's like this image of a triangle. I don't know if you've seen this, right?
Yeah.
As I'm growing closer to my husband, I'm growing closer to Christ, and we're growing closer together. What are some ways that like you've started to notice this in your marriage? And
Finding things that you can connect on. Going to mass is a huge, huge one. You know, if you can consistently go to mass with your spouse, that's a win. Um, if that's all you do for the time that your children are young, I think it's still a win, you know.
Hey guys, and welcome back to part 2 of our conversation with Rebecca Gruntz. Today we're going to continue exploring the beauty and challenges of marriage and motherhood. Together we're going to discuss the importance of rest and leisure in the family life, and we're also going to talk about what that means to participate in that as a family. We're going to reflect on Jesus and the Jubilee through John Bergsma's insights, and even talk about the gift of resting in the presence of the Lord with St. Therese of Lisieux as our inspiration. Rebecca is going to share with us how to pray even when the busyness of family life makes it feel impossible. I hope you guys enjoy.
what are some ways that you could like say that you've started to see yourself grow into that, right? Like, um, what was that you said? You said me and my husband, right? We don't do this perfectly, but we're growing. Like,
Yeah.
what are some concrete examples of ways that you see yourself growing and recognizing like I've been called to like love this child and love my husband, right? And like, yeah, we as we grow closer to Christ, there's like this image of a triangle. I don't know if you've seen this, right?
Yeah.
As I'm growing closer to my husband, I'm growing closer to Christ, and we're growing closer together. What are some ways that like you've started to notice this in your marriage and in your motherhood?
So I think in my marriage, it's probably harder to speak towards because that's something that personally we don't connect on as often as we probably could.
Mm.
For this past Lent, though, we did um, read the daily readings, and so it was cool. I like turned to him. I had again didn't grow up cradle Catholic, have never like read the daily readings consistently before. So I'm reading through the Lent readings, and about 2 weeks in, I realized, wow, all of the readings are focused on fasting and almsgiving, and it was just like aha moment. And I shared that with him, and it was things like that.
Yeah.
So those finding things that you can connect on. Going to mass is a huge, huge one. You know, if you can consistently go to mass with your spouse, that's a win. Um, if that's all you do for the time that your children are young, I think it's still a win. You know, again, like I said, when we first started dating and were married, I don't think either of us considered the fact that not going to mass regularly was not good. Even though he did grow up Catholic and went to Catholic high school, it's still he didn't grow up with parents who were consistent Catholics. You know,
Mm-hmm.
they were Christmas, Easter.
Yeah.
So we've been trying to change that in our family. With my children, I think the examples I've already shared, just having that mindset of I am the first catechist that they should meet.
Mm-hmm.
And having, I think, too, some tangible things like, okay, we're sitting in mass, they're bored, they don't want to pay attention. There are some phenomenal resources that I've found. Like there's the Little Rose Shop has quiet mass books. So they are little, pop-up books that have a
Yeah,
little
yeah,
holy water
yeah.
that you can move your little person and it goes through the mass with them. Peekaboo Jesus books. So things that are still focused and centered around why you're there, why you're
Mm-hmm.
at the church, and that gives you moments to teach them. One thing, this is my friend that I mentioned earlier, Sarah. Her perspective growing up, she had good Catholic parents, and so it was instilled in her at a young age. She was also the oldest of like 7 children.
Wow.
So but during mass, they always would during the breaking of the bread be like, "Thank you, Jesus," and like
Mm.
blow Jesus a kiss. So little things like that during the mass. Okay, maybe I'm not hearing the homily, but at least again, I'm explaining what I can in that moment.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely. That's awesome. Blowing Jesus a kiss. I'm definitely putting that one in my back pocket. Yeah, cool. I want to talk, right? We've talked a lot about, um, right, this little change through your life as you sort of grow to the church and in your motherhood. And I want to talk a little bit about um, more just in your spiritual life, right? Especially as a woman, like what does it mean to recognize these little changes? Um, and what has that been for you? Um, right? So, like, what does it mean to sort of, right, as we go through our spiritual life, right? We're all called to some sort of receptivity. Like, you have to receive from God. There's no other way to put it. That's just what it is. You need to receive and be dependent. Um, and so, like, what has that been like trying to grow in that, right? Especially like coming into the church through in college, right? And sort of through these ministries with a bunch of other women. What has it been like as the community sort of fostered to this idea?
Mm-hmm. I think we're in a very unique position this year, being in the year of Jubilee.
Mm.
I'm rereading with my prayer group. I read it during Lent, and I'm reading it again. Jesus and the Jubilee by Dr. John Bergsma. Highly recommend. If you haven't read it yet, pick up a book.
We'll drop the link.
It has been so profound. But reading through that, you don't realize how many graces you're receiving, even if you're not focused on the fact that this is a Jubilee year. People who aren't even Catholic are probably receiving graces that they don't even realize. You're looking and you're spiritually like just on fire, and you're like, why? Well, Jesus gives us these graces throughout the Jubilee year.
Mm-hmm.
We went to Seek together, so I know I had a profound experience in adoration this year.
That's awesome.
That was my first time going to Seek, so it was overwhelming but also incredible.
Yeah.
During adoration, I kind of already started to focus on this idea. I try to pick a word for the year, and so I had started to kind of think about rest. But like during adoration one time, it was literally like the Lord was like, "Yes, that's your word for the year of rest."
Rest.
So I'm, focusing on, okay, rest means I'm saying no to things. I'm setting more boundaries. That hasn't happened. I just moved positions in my job here. So obviously I have a lot of changes happening. I'm not saying no to things. I don't know how to say no to things. That's not true. I'm a little bit better than I used to be.
That's good.
But,
That's good.
It is still hard.
Certainly.
But what I've discovered at reading this book the first time during Lent is that Jubilee is literally a year of rest.
Mm.
And so when I read that the first time, I was like, whoa.
That's crazy.
Jesus, what you doing? So this year alone I've been able to rest, but reading that I've noticed, you focus on, again, thinking what my perspective of rest was going to be is saying no to things and being home more. And what I've come to realize is that I think really what he was calling me to is to rest in him. And so I've had more intentional moments of I get here early enough when I can to go sit in our chapel and just rest with Jesus.
Yeah.
And even going to Mass is a moment to rest with Jesus. So those little moments have been great this year. And I lost track of what your actual question was. But...
That's okay. Yeah, good. That's super good. I did not know that's what Jubilee meant either.
I'll have to find the book. I'll get the book and show you what it. But yeah, part of it is Jubilee is rest.
That's awesome.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, resting is very hard. What are some, like obviously we all struggle with that in a society where we're all told to be working never stopping, right? Where people are literally sleeping in their offices. Like Apple has built sleeping pods so that people can sleep for 5 hours and then go back to work. Not healthy, right? So like, what are ways that we can like, okay, actually you need to rest. And rest doesn't mean sleep, although it does in a lot of cases. Even things like leisure, like being outside and just sitting in the sun is restful. What are ways that we can sort of start to encourage this in this culture? Because I think that when you lose rest, you lose everything. Because, I mean, I don't know about you, but when I'm not having sleep, it's not a good day.
You definitely will see, like, when you're not sleeping well, when you're not consistently resting, you are snappy with your family. Those are the moments that I notice the most that I'm struggling with my family, or I'm struggling in my job, and I feel like I'm overwhelmed or drowning. Well, I probably didn't sleep enough. But again, again, having a family means that sleep is different, you know. I work off their schedule, not mine.
Right.
But I think tangibly, again, finding those real ways to rest and recognizing again that rest doesn't always mean saying no or changing how you go about your day. It means finding the little moments that you can spend with the Lord or just with yourself. The little I with this career shift, there was a moment a couple of weeks ago where I was just kind of freaking out because I felt like I was doing too much in my current position and the position I was going into. And I was messaging Zoe and I said, I just am afraid to disappoint people. And as I said it, my eyes welled up with tears and I felt this like little whisper of like, you'll never disappoint me. And so I like ran to the chapel.
Good. So good.
But like a year ago, I would not have done that. I would not have run to the chapel when I was feeling that. So again, just those graces that I've been experiencing.
It's so good. So good. Man, he speaks to our hearts, you know, like such a father to be like, you feel that way, my daughter? No way, you can never disappoint me. It's like literally hitting me there. Okay, cool. Yeah, that's awesome. That's really awesome. Thank you for sharing that. Cool. I want to continue to talk about, right, I think that resting in the Father, right, resting in, Rez talks about this a lot, which is why I feel really comfortable to do it, and sleeping in adoration is okay for her, and it's okay for me too. Yeah, she says, why wouldn't a child sleep in the presence of the Father? Of course you should sleep. And I love that because most of the time when I'm going to adoration, I'm exhausted, and so I end up falling asleep. And I want to, get your perspective on this. What does it mean to sort of, right? I mean, that's a beautiful example, right? The Lord hit me. I'm going to go rest with you real quick. I need to be in your arms. What has it been like to sort of live into this and like grow of like, I'm just gonna like come rest with you because nothing else is gonna give me that.
I think it gives the grace of peace that you don't realize you need. And I think it can also it brings more joy when you're spending more time there. It's something I did really well during Lent and have struggled to do. But I think even those moments when I do pick it up and say, I'm going to get to work early so that I can spend time there, or I'm struggling, let me go talk to Jesus for a minute. Again, those are decisions I probably wouldn't have made a year ago. We're so blessed to work here. Like I do a daily examination of conscience, daily examine in the evenings. And if I went back and read over, I started this during Lent, so if I went back and read over the last few months of my daily examine, because I write it down, because ADHD, for whatever reason, that was another little whisper from Jesus. I said, Lord, I cannot do the daily examine. It doesn't work for me. And he said, you can write it down. I was like, oh, you know what? I can do that. So I started writing it down. But if I went back and looked, I could probably highlight almost every day how blessed I am to work here. I don't think the Lord put me here for a reason. And like, I believe so intensely in the mission and the people of this university. I would sweep the floors to work here. Like, we are so blessed to be able, like, who else gets to just go to mass in the middle of the week and it doesn't count against them?
Yeah.
You know, it doesn't, I don't have to clock out to go to mass. That's so incredible. The fact that we're able to just talk about Jesus, the fact that we're able to have this podcast,
it's such a gift.
We have such a gift here. So yeah, those moments of rest, those aren't things I would have done even a year or two ago, but especially being here, I have that gift and that opportunity. So
awesome. Yeah, I think I want to continue to talk about other ways, or even like for people who are like, look, I get what you guys are saying, but I don't have time for that. So that's a real thing, right? There is actually people who just have way more than you and I actually have to do. not that we don't have a lot to do, it's just that some people are really overburdened with things to do, and it's like, how do we like edge them off of the cliff of worrying, and be like, I know that this is important, but like this is more important. Where does that work begin?
So, I mean, I think for people who aren't blessed to work here at Brand New, for sure, or blessed to work in an environment where it's encouraged to go and talk to the Lord,
Mm-hmm.
having just pockets in your day where you can stop and pray. No one's
Yeah.
going to stop you from bowing your head for a minute. No one's going to stop you from holding a rosary. I have a little, technically, kitchen rosary on my desk. So, like, you can start it throughout the day. You move the beads, and then you can remember your spot because it's like a little, it's a picture frame rosary.
Oh,
So
I was gonna say, what's a kitchen rosary? I've never heard of this.
yeah, so it's basically that. It's someone, my friend Sarah made it, but it's a picture frame, and it's got the like 4 levels. So it's got the top level has 10 beads, and then the second level has 3, and once you know where you're at in the rosary.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, move it. But it started for women who were moms who are busy. You put it in your kitchen. You're in the middle of doing dishes. A kid comes to stop you. Okay, I remember I was on the 5th decade, and I had 4 Hail Marys left.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
I need to
awesome.
get one of these. Yeah, I definitely will be stopping by. Man. Anyways, you were saying.
Yeah, so I mean, I just think little moments like that have, have a prayer journal in your pocket. Who Chandler at TFE, of course, is a theology student. So or was it you? One of y'all had one in your back pocket.
Yeah, that was Chandler, not me.
Okay. Have your daily prayers. The church gives us so many resources to pray throughout the day, finding those moments. And again, especially for moms, I would encourage you in the moments where you're overwhelmed and you feel like, I don't know how I'm doing this, stop and look at your children and just pray. Just thank the Lord for that child, for the fact that I get to be mother to 2 beautiful children. This just last night, I was holding both of them. I was stressed. Looked at both of them. Looked at Christopher. Looked at Sarah Beth, and was just so grateful because they need me to hold them. Christopher's a Velcro baby. I feel like I am needed, as soon as I get home through the door, and I love it, but there are definitely times where it's a lot and it's overstimulating.
100%.
But just those little moments of gratefulness.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, that's also so real. Even you mentioned, like, I get home and I'm like, wow, it doesn't really end ever. How can we continue to, like, learn, like, I am being people are depending on me, which means I need to depend even more on the Father. Because if I'm not depending on him, I'm going to be unable to do these things, right? It's like I said, I don't remember said it, but like, I can do nothing without him, and everything that I do is through him. And so, like, maybe it becomes easier, right? As I start to, like, have people depend on me and more things become responsible of me, it's like, oh no, I need to go pray right now because things are getting heavy. What has that been like for you?
I don't think I would say it gets easier. I think the older you get, the more aware you become.
Yeah.
I think we do have the opportunity now with social media. We have resources that are able to support us. Podcasts. I listen to so many podcasts that support, being a mother. But I lost track of your question.
That's okay. Yeah. I'm glad you brought that up because let's jump into that. What are some good resources for mothers, right? Because it can be really easy to just sort of get swept up into the whirlwind of like what's going on, and like, wait a minute, I need to like slow down and okay, now what are some things that I can like use to help like reroute myself?
I mean, I depend heavily on Mama Mary. Having a rosary regularly. Yeah. She was a mother. So even if you don't like physical resources, yeah, I could probably name off quite a few books. I've got a dozen in my office that are specific towards motherhood. But if you can't start by buying a bunch of books or listening to a bunch of podcasts, you can definitely start with the rosary and start with the reflection of what her motherhood looked like.
Yeah.
One struggle I had with both of my kids was breastfeeding, and so there were many times there where I would be like, okay, Mary fed Jesus, so we're gonna get there. Like it, lots of rosaries in those first few weeks with your children, and really relying on your village, your people. I'm blessed in the parent department, especially the mother department. I have a great mother. I have a great mother-in-law. I have a great stepmother. I have a great stepmother-in-law. So like lots of parent support, but resources. Yeah, I mean some podcasts that I absolutely 100% would recommend to anyone who is a mother or even just a woman looking for some clarity on what it means to be a woman in the Lord. Abiding Together is a fantastic podcast, and The Daily Nothings is one of my favorites.
Oh yeah, that's a good one.
They're the ones who Saint Therese is there.
So true.
Yeah, they're patron saints, so I look for them a lot. But yeah, just and then the people around you, the resources of moms who have been there and done that before are no joke. So.
Yeah. Just before we close out, maybe some encouragement to mothers and just women who are like, Becca, I hear it, but like, no way, it's too hard. What can I do?
You can't do anything. The Lord's got to move in your life. And if you're not ready to let him, then he's not going to. You talked earlier about, receiving, and that's something actually that Abiding Together recently mentioned is like, in order to receive something, you have to have your hands out and open. And in order to bring things to the Lord, you have to open your hands. And so you have your hands open. This is a really good physical way to pray. If you're in a posture of openness when you're talking to the Lord, he's going to give you what you need and what you can handle. But if you're not willing to open your hands or open your heart, then he's not going to move. So he's going to move in your life in ways that you're ready for. But I think the biggest encouragement is to just open your heart, open your mind, and just to pray and to find good people that can support you. Find people who have been there before. Even women who haven't had the blessing of being a mother or of having a spouse are still great resources. Lots of religious women or just, lay women who are living the single life. You can still lean on them. They still have, more to give. There are many times that I lean on people, like some of the students that come through my doors, they have no idea the impact they have on me, right? So you can learn from anyone. And I think it's important to recognize, especially as women, the feminine genius in other women, and just focusing on that love that you can share and receive.
Awesome. Thanks so much. Before we head out, I just ask that you close us out in prayer.
Holy Spirit, amen. Father, thank you so much for this incredible opportunity to talk about you and to share my heart for you with whoever listens to or watches this podcast. Lord, I pray that you will continue to bless all of the students, faculty, and staff here at Brand New. I pray that you will continue to bless our diocese in Baton Rouge and just bless anyone who hears this. And Father, I just thank you so much for Ben and the gift he is to this university. And I pray that you will just continue to just cover all of us here with your love and your mercy. I pray all this in your name.
Amen.
Holy Spirit, amen.
Awesome. Well, thank you again for being here. It's been just a gift to talk with you, and man,